And we continue learning Dirshu Mishna Berurah as we continue learning Siman Kof Lamid Beis. We're in the middle of Sif Beis, a long and lengthy Ramah, as we're discussing the halachas Volat Tzion, and really as Volat Tzion continues till after davening. So says the Ramah, Va'imrim Shir Shalavim Va'imrim V'mikdash Shachris Levad. You say the Shir Shal Yom Shachris only, V'yesha Kasu, and there are those that write, as we turn over to the conclusion of this Ramah, Lizoyer, to be careful, Loimer Pitam Akteris Mitoch Aksav, V'loi Balpeh. Pitam Akteris should be read from a sitter, not said Balpeh. Why? Because the saying of Ketairis is in place of the bringing the Ketairis, and therefore what? You might skip something, one of the spices, herbs of the Ketairis. And they say, if you miss one of the spices, you're chayav misa. Therefore, don't say Pitam Akteris Balpeh, rather read it from the Ksav. And says the Ramah, based on that reasoning, therefore we don't say it during the week. Why not? People are rushing out of shul to go to work. We're worried they might skip. Of course, that's where Nusach Ashkenaz come from. One leaves the shul, and you bow, and you leave. So says the Mishnah Berurah over here, we begin from Sivkatan Tez Zayin, that we say Shir Shal Yom Shachus Levad after B'mikdash Yom Shal Nechsei Yayin. Even though the Beis Hamikdash they said Shira on the libation of the wine Gamal Tamid Shal Bin Arbayim. They said it both in the morning and in the afternoon and the evening. However, B'nei Shekam B'amay Yokanim Terudin. Many times the Kohanim were very busy, and they ended up doing that libation at night. And at night, we don't say shira. Therefore, we only say it by shachar. So it comes out fascinating that there were times in the Beis Hamikdash that they said the shir shal yom twice a day, tamid shal shachar, and with the nisachim by the tamid shal bin arbayim. But there are times that nisachim by the tamid shal bin arbayim was not able to be brought until nighttime. Therefore, they didn't say the shira that day. And which mizmar do we say on Yantif? Yevur Eretz Hashem, we're going to explain as we turn over the page over here. Like, come on, Be'ilchais Yantif and Dirshu and fill us in. And of course, we all know that the basic nusach and minhag here in Chutz La'aretz, whether it's Nusach Sfard, Nusach Ashkenaz, is to say the regular Shir Shal Yom, but the Nusach HaGra, the Shita of the Goyin, which they do in Yerushalayim, is that there's a special, different Mizmar of Tehillim, a different Shir Shal Yom for each Yantif. But we'll get there in a moment. Let's continue with Mishnah Berurah Sivkatan Yedzayin. One that the minhag is not say shir the Pitam Akteris during the week. Why not Shema Yedalik? Not to say it by heart, because one might come to skip. Beis Yosef doesn't like this. The haloi ain't misal b'aktar v'lo b'amir, says the Beis Yosef. It's true that saying the karbanos is as if it's a ki'ilu that you brought to the Ketairis. But l'maisa, you didn't bring it. So if you skip a word when you're saying it, says the Beis Yosef, he's not happy with this idea that one could be potentially chayav misa. Void, and furthermore, they misa el b'mezid. It's only if one makes a mistake on purpose. The Medaktikin says the Mishnah Berurah, because we're not concerned that you might skip. Why are we not concerned you might skip? Because you try your best, and if you end up skipping, it's not b'mezid, and it's not an actual bringing of the Ketairis, it's just in saying it. Therefore, they say Ketairis every day, and this is where, of course, Nusach Sfard comes from. Those that say it only on Shabbos, they're not so fluent with it, and therefore Yom Chasidir. So it comes out fascinating that you can have two diametrically opposed ideas over here. According to Nusach Ashkenaz, there are concerns you might skip, and therefore don't say it all week, only say it on Shabbos. But now that you're only saying it on Shabbos, you're not going to be so fluent. So now there's an extra hakbada, there's an extra care that one should take out to say it out of a siddur. The Mishnah Berurah is quoting According to Nusach Svar, the Medakta can say it every day. You might miss a word. Number one, you're not doing it amazing. Number two, it's not in the actual Aktar, it's just in the saying it. And as well, it seems that there's not going to be as much of an emphasis on saying it from a sitter. But of course, one should try not to skip a word. When you leave shul, you bow and you leave. Why? To make the Shnamik should come around Avodah. Because the base of Mikdash, when you finish the Avodah, Mishtach of the Yaitz, they bow and leave. Ayin, the Magen Avram. So before we begin the next sif, let's just go over here to the Dirshu, and let's see a few of the contemporary paiskim. So Dirshu over here, note number 39, points out that in reality, even though Mishnah Berurah sends you to Hilchas Yantiv, is not explained in Mishnah Berurah and the Bir Halach. The Magen Avram writes, there are places that they say Mizmar B'Yantiv Alpi Misechas Seifrim, but we don't have these Mizraim only in the base of Mikdash. And you should look at the Ma'aser Rav, and he brings all Mizmarim Shamim Mechag Umayed, and again that's all going to be based on the sheet of the Gain, but we say the regular Shir Shal Yom. Says the Dirshu note number 40 that we're concerned that you might skip one of the Keteris. Says the Minchas Yitzchak based off of this reasoning that it said Shenitvas v'sidurim before but the Keteris atam takum Torachim siyam v'chulu. Whereas on Shabbos it's a different nusach. Why? Because in their times they didn't say Pitam Keteris during the week, and therefore they would daven atasakon Torachim siyon, and then they would say the Keteris. But on Shabbos they would have the extra. I guess that would be the fine nuance of difference between the Ein Kelokenu with the Pitam Keteris, which is more in the nusach hatfila shabai, whereas in the karbanos, if you look, there's that slight different nuance in nusach of atasakam terachem siyon. And finally, Dirshu note number 41 points out that when they would leave the Beis Hamikdash, they would bow, as we learned in the Mishnah and Tamid, at the end of the Avodah ve'ishtachava ve'yotzei. And we continue by beginning Siman Kof Lamed Gimel, which the Mechaber coins are the din of Baruch Hu b'Shabbos. Says the Mechaber b'Shabbos Yantav, and Baruch Hu Achar Kaddish B'Asra. There's no Baruch Hu after the final Kaddish. Says Ramah, even in places that they do say that Baruch Hu during the week, why do they say that Baruch Hu during the week? Because there might have been someone who missed Baruch Hu. Why not? Because in Shabbos and Yantiv, everyone comes on time. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sivkat and Aleph, what does this mean? They say Kaddish and Baruch Hu at the end of the Amni, which is, I believe it's the Eitos HaMizrach, the Sfardim do that in Eretz Yisrael. The Minhag HaGoyin is to do that as well, that there's always a Baruch Hu at the end of every tefillah. Why? There are people that come after Baruch Hu, and they might have missed it. We learned that already. That Kol Ban, if got the Beis and Shabbos, no one comes late. Says Mishmur, 1 second. Maybe someone might come late. He heard the Baruch Hu from one who got an aliyah. So let's look at Dirshu note number 1 over here. Dirshu says, the Chazon Ish says that you should say it at the end of every single tefillah, like we quoted the Minhag Yerushalayim is. Why? Why? So that Kedei La'achrei Kama She'efsher, and therefore L'rei Nag B'chodesh Elul Loimer Baruch Hu Achar L'David Hashem Ha'orev Yishi. However, in the Luach Eretz Yisrael, and then Baruch Hu. No, Chazon Ish is honing in on another fine nuance. The nuance Chazon Ish is honing in on is that if the whole creation of this Baruch Hu is to be at the end of davening for anyone who might come late, it says the Chazon Ish do it at the latest possible moment. B'soif at tefillah mamish. Whereas, and therefore, we're pointing out that in Elul that we say L'David Hashem, this Baruch Hu should be after that L'David Hashem. But comes along, the Dir Shavir quotes Luach Eretz Yisrael, which probably is the Tukachinsky Luach, and it says, no, the minhag is to say first L'David Hashem, and then Baruch Hu. And in a place that they say Baruch Hu after the final Kaddish, we learned in Siman Zamachtas that even if someone hears Baruch Hu in the beginning of davening, he should not be Mavatal a minhag, and rather, but in a place, where they're not worried about machlokes, the shot should not say Baruch Hu, rather only if there was someone who didn't hear Baruch Hu. And this often happens, let's say one has a minyan in Yerushalayim, and let's say where they're going to do this minhag, which is to say Baruch Hu at the end, but it's a minyan mitzumsam, it's exactly 10 people, and they know that every person was there in the beginning by the Baruch Hu, so there's really no reason to say it again. Then if there's no cause for machlekes, then in reality, one should skip it. And finally, the final Dirshu over here comments on that even if Shabbos and Yontif someone might have come late, he probably heard Baruch Hu from someone who got an Aliyah. This is the reason why it says in the Tukachinsky Luach that Noigen Beretz Yisrael on Monday and Thursday and other days that there's Kriyas HaTorah, and everyone heard Baruch Hu, they do not say Baruch Hu after Kaddish. So again, let's explain this detail, and with this we conclude, and this will help a lot of people wondering what in the world is going on in Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, they say Baruch Hu as we said every day. Aside for Monday and Thursday, they do not. Now, if you're in a shul where there's a Sephardi, they say it every single day, even on a Monday and Thursday. But let's say not, you're in a shul, you're in the Mir davening Shachris, and they say Baruch Hu every day, but not Monday and Thursday. And one wonders, what in the world's going on here? Once you understand the reasoning behind everything, it's beautifully clear. The whole reason to say this Baruch Hu is why someone might have come late and missed Baruch Hu. But just like the Mishnah Berurah just quoted us that on Shabbos, even if one came late, he heard the Baruch Hu by an Aliyah. So to a Monday and Thursday, if someone came late, he heard the Baruch Hu by the Aliyah. And that's why they do not say Baruch Hu on Monday and Thursdays. Pick it up from Siman Kof Lamed Dalet in the next year. B'siyato Dishmaya.